What's up, everyone? Today we're going to take a look at the 2015 Toyota Tacoma and the 2010
F-150. So these are the two best-selling trucks in its class, and right now we're going to kind of figure out which one is best for you.
So as you can see, two very good-looking trucks. I think over time they both hold their kind of composure and their looks very well. This is a 2015, so it's obviously not the newest model, but it's still very, very good looking. For the price, it's still a very fair truck, and it's a really good looking option. The F-150 over here, that's a 2010. For some reason in my mind, I still think it's a little bit newer than that, partially because it's such a good looking truck. So, for the money that's used, it's about an $8,000 to $10,000 truck. It's got 130,000 miles on it. This is about a $25,000 to $30,000 truck. It has just under 30,000 miles on it, about 29 and some change. As far as value goes, we'll talk a little bit about that. Tacoma, you're gonna get a little bit more tech, but like I said, it's gonna be a little bit more expensive. So you're gonna have the in-dash display in there. It's gonna have, navigation, Sirius satellite, in-tune options, things like that. By no means am I saying that these two compare as far as tech and things like that go, but for value, for example, with 30,000 miles on it, this is about $31,000 truck. We're in 2018, this is 2015, so a couple years old. If we come over to the F-150, we'll take a look at the interior there. Still, like I was saying, it still looks good, but for the price, you're looking at about $8,000 to $10,000 with 130,000 miles on it. Still a really good looking truck, of course. Lots of space in the back here. Similar, usability and functionality.
The layout of the interior, this is definitely a built Ford Tough kind of thing. Super cool for trucks. I like that. I'm fine with all of this. I'm fine with the dashboard. Super clean. You've got your oil pressure, all that kind of fun stuff. The buttons on your steering wheel are solid, but this polyurethane that they have on this, look at it. You can just see it just got deteriorated. And before I got this truck for my dad, he didn't have any tinted windows on the both of the driver's side and passenger side. And I think the sun just ate this thing up and just started deteriorating it. And you can just see it's super bad and worn. Overall, you can see the seats are kind of getting a little worn. It's got a weird little ripple here, just kind of weird, but seats are comfortable for long distance. Never have an issue. I've driven this truck from California to Colorado. So you can see I'm definitely have a lot more room. So my windscreen view is a little bit higher. I have a little bit more elbow room here, and then when the doors close, I also have a little bit more room. You gotta actually step in and then come all the way in, and you can see I can almost sit all the way in a chair. You can see I got a good amount of it's 6 inches from the bottom of the floor to right where my knee is, but a little bit more tight. Your arms over here with your elbows, and then the height of the window is a little bit lower.
50s wheel and tire setup. These are 245 75 17, so a little bit bigger rim from factory. Of course, back here we have suspension. It's actually really good ground clearance, probably about 2 fists worth. So you still have pretty good articulation if you were to go off-roading. But this truck's a little bit different. It's got all seasons versus all terrains, which is what the Tacoma has. If we go ahead and take a look at the back here, it's gonna have a little bit more meaty leaf spring setup as well as suspension. All seasons on the rear, of course, as well. But the main reason for that kind of beefier suspension setup is so you have more weight that you can put in the rear as well as towing. So that's kind of a big thing that goes along with the F-150. Coming over to the Tacoma, this is a TRD off-road, so not a TRD Pro, but it's kind of mid-level. You're going to see the rugged trails here. These are 265 70 16-inch wheels and tires, so a little bit different focus. These are going to be an all-terrain versus an all-season. The suspension's also going to be a little bit different. If we come up to the front here, like I said, it is the TRD, so you're going to get the Bilstein kind of aftermarket suspension. It'll be better for off-roading, articulation, off-roading in total. Whereas this guy here is gonna be a little bit better with the towing. So it kind of depends on what you're looking for or what you need. Better off-roader, better at towing and being a workhorse.
The biggest question you're gonna ask yourself is, what engine do you want? Either a V6 or a V8. Now the Ford offers a variety of different engines, but really you want the V8. And so in this body style, they had the 5.4 liter 3-valve Triton V8, which is pretty sweet. It's really reliable. I didn't have any issues with it until 137,000 miles, but she's still purring along. And this was a work truck for about 80,000 miles. It was my dad's truck. He worked it super hard with his construction company, but I mean, it's still rolling, so super good. So now we have the 4-liter V6 here. This is kind of like a little bit more like of a sporty car. It definitely revs up. It's a lot quicker, lighter car. This V6 is also well known for its dependability as well. There are a couple Tacoma engines that you want to stay away from, but this 4.0 is definitely not the case. And it's very easy to maintain. You've got your oil filter right here with the little drain. Literally, you unscrew your oil filter, drain the oil on the bottom, and then refill it right here. 2 clips to replace your air filter. You've got your coolant right here. So like just your bare minimum maintenance requirements are super easy here. Ford kind of screwed up on the oil filter. It's right over one of the suspension components. So they have a little drip pan down there where the oil filter is. You got to stick your hand either down here or you got to go under and reach, and it's super awkward and weird. But besides that, it's pretty good. Just drain the oil like usual. Not very complex or anything. Power steering fluid, easy access. Everything's pretty easily accessible here. Besides, that's the only thing I could think of. If you're not changing your oil, it's not a big deal. They're not going to charge you more or anything. But this does actually require more oil than this one. So if you're kind of nitpicky on that kind of stuff, it might be something that you want to think about. So if you're a big road tripper, this truck is a great thing because you don't have to fill up that often. It's got a 32-gallon tank. And if you're going on the highway going 65, 70, you'll get just about 20 miles a gallon. If you got a tailwind, 21, 22. So that's just over 500 miles to the gallon, or to the tank, which is super nice. You don't have to fill up that often. But in the city, gas mileage starts to go down. Like I drive in Boulder, Colorado, and if I just drive there, I'll get like 12 miles to the gallon just because I'm idling and it's a big V8 and a stoplight. I'm sucking a bunch of gas and there's no cylinder shutoffs. But super nice things. It's super easy to just check out where you are at. You've got your mileage. So I got 143 miles till E, and I'm only at a quarter tank. Most cars or trucks would probably be at a half a tank with that amount of miles. And then I'm about 15.6 miles a gallon, and we've been going on a bunch of steep stuff and messing around, so that's actually pretty good. It does sound like a V8. Sounds super good. And let me give you a little rev. Now the cool thing that I actually like about this V8 is that ticking. You can hear, so there's 3 valves on each cylinder. You can hear the ticking, and that's perfectly normal. It sounds super mechanical. I'm a mechanical engineering student, so that's kind of a cool thing. It's kind of a cool little truck noise. And then you got your exhaust pipe. So Dodge, I really hate this because you actually, we do a lot of trailering, and so when you get the boat coming back, the Dodge exhausts are right here, and my buddy had a rental Dodge, and it was so annoying because all the exhaust fumes were going in your face when you're hooking it up. Nice thing about Ford, the exhaust is right here on the edge, super easy and convenient, so it's just throwing it away on the side of the truck instead of behind the truck.
All right, guys, so what you're looking at here is 2 very capable and very powerful trucks. Now, when it comes down to my personal preference, why would you get a V8? Justin's truck is cool and it's great and he prefers the V8. You don't need it. Let me show you why. Check this thing out. Let's go ahead and hop in and we'll start it up. 4-liter V6. Plus, just listen to the sound. It's hard to beat. Say you do have a boat and you're trying to hook it up, or you have some jet skis and you're in the water, the exhaust comes out of the side right behind the tire. So you're not going to have, that smell or carbon monoxide consistently coming at you from the back of the tailpipes. Just like the F-150, Justin made a really good point. Okay, so for a little bit more money, especially in the used market, I prefer the Toyota Tacoma interior. I think it's a little bit nicer, a little bit better put together. As far as kind of the materials, they're more soft touch. They've held up a little bit better. Here's the biggest kind of negative to it. I think it might have been like an accident or maybe I don't know, acid or something that might have dripped on it. I don't know, but there's some fading, which is kind of interesting. I'm not sure what that is. Otherwise, stains kind of show a little bit more. I mean, even, you know, little stuff. I don't know how well the camera will pick it up. But as far as, you know, the materials, like this is a soft touch pleather, which is like a fake leather. All these are kind of soft touch. Still more of a plastic, obviously. It's more of a usable truck than a luxury truck. Coming inside though, love these seats. They're actually, it's more of a sport seat, so it hugs you, has a little bit better bolstering, a little bit better thigh support as well. Okay, so two things I really dislike about this car. If you flip through the gauges here on the center, it'll give you, you know, your trips, how many miles you have on each trip, A and B, and then your odometer. So I have just under 30,000 miles. Obviously no dash lights, part of Toyota dependability. But the other thing that I hate is it doesn't show you a gas mileage, like an average. Obviously I can calculate it, and that's what I do every time I fill up. There's also no way to tell the weather. Now, if you hit home here, it gives you the weather as of, you know, HD weather channel. I think it's part of the HD radio, but it doesn't give you an actual, that's nowhere. It's not on the actual physical car. So let's say this doesn't work or you have this off for some reason, you can't check just the temperature outside. And I know that probably doesn't sound like that big of a deal, but for some reason it's nice to know for me. If you hit apps, there's also like a fuel, I forget what they call it, fuel guide, but it's all through the Intune system. So if you don't have service on your phone or you don't have the app, I can't imagine that you can tell the miles per gallon. Now, another thing to bring up about this truck, after calculating it, and every time I fill up, which is about $50 to $60 for a full tank, it gets about 17 miles per gallon. And it being a V6, you'd think it'd do better. It doesn't. Best is about 20. So not that good, not that impressive for what it is. Now, coming into the dashboard, a little bit more updated. Of course, being a little bit newer. I know Justin touched on the Sync 3. But this one already comes standard with it being a TRD, so you're going to have the navigation, you'll have the Intune apps, a little bit different features. That's kind of nicer, a little bit newer. You can also have Bluetooth audio streaming. There's a couple different, you know, USB and auxiliary, so you can charge or offload music, which is neat. One of my favorite features about this though, and about any truck, especially in comparison to like the Ford F-150, it being more of a baseline, this has like a form of a leather up steering wheel, so I like the soft touch material in there. Just to me, it just feels a little bit more premium, a little bit nicer in the hand.
As you can see here, the competition is really small. The Ford F-150 completely blows it out of the water.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Depends on what your needs are, because to me, I think the Tacoma blows the F-150 out of the water.
See, that's when we have our differences, because it really depends on your personal needs. And if you saw throughout our video, there are different needs and wants. So if you do want to do a little bit more towing and have a little bit more area to move shit around, I would take the Ford F-150.
But the Tacoma is a really great truck for some of the off-road, smaller things, daily commuting and things like that.
So it really depends. If you're going to use the truck for a truck, get the F-150. If you're going to do a truck every once in a while, I would use the Tacoma. If you like going on trails, if you like skiing, snowboarding, a little bit off-roading, I would take the Tacoma. It's a little bit less expensive, and they hold their value a little bit better. They sell that Ford F-150 every 7 minutes. Even though it's the best-selling truck in its class, they sell a crap ton of them, so the values of those cars are going to go down. And these hold their value like crazy.
They do. But all in all, guys, they're both really good options. Of course, Toyota is going to be dependable. But the F-150, like we talked about, I know we touched on it a couple times, you've had really zero issues in 130,000 miles. That's pretty crazy, considering that truck's been worked really hard.
It's pretty insane.
So again, you know, all in all, just look and ask yourself, what do you need a truck for? And I think you can make a pretty good judgment based off of that.
Get the V8.
Tacoma, baby!